Well, when I first got here, we were in the throes of radical budget reductions, reduction of staff, limited state revenue, and the athletic programs were taking their hits like everything else. When Bruce and Colin came and we started talking about it, I saw it as an opportunity to start looking at ways to fund our athletic programs without taking out the general funds. Because as a superintendent, you always hate to ever take away from the classroom to fund athletics, but at the same time, we know that the athletics and extracurricular programs are so essential to what the community wants in our programs. So I was intrigued, and I think once we felt comfortable, we pushed it pretty quickly, got it in front of the board, and even then, the board was reticent and concerned, and I believe it passed on a 4-3 vote. But now with the results that we're getting, I think everyone would like to go back and change those votes to yes.
And Christine, I'm sure that, as you were going through this process, there was a lot of obstacles and a lot of people that maybe needed some convincing.
Right. I was a yes vote, so I want to keep my vote as it is. But, yeah, and I think that what I heard from was really, when you have a broad idea, a big idea that's good for the district, there is still going to be pockets of groups or individuals or even community members where it doesn't benefit them. But our current way wasn't benefiting them either.
Michelle, maybe you remember back in those days and some of the hardships that you had to go through because this was a new program.
Right, there's definitely a learning process to be able to develop something like this and where certain pieces of the puzzle fit, and definitely educating our community as well as our own employees and students about the program and how it was going to be beneficial to not only our athletic program but also to our academic program.
Jonathan, I'm sure you heard good things and bad things right away, didn't you?
There were a lot of concerns, and like Chris said, the board did their due diligence. So this was a very new way of approaching this, and there was a lot of potential. We saw that. We saw the benefit of creating equity among all of our programs throughout the district.
But also really brand new in even the concept. I don't know of another high school or district that's going through this, so it was a lot about communicating, and even I will say personally, I had some things that I wasn't real clear on, so it was important for us to continue to ask questions and continue to bring that feedback back to our community, but it's been very beneficial.
Well, it was an easy decision, Bo. We've been in the community a long, long time, and we've pretty much always supported the Columbia Public Schools. But I have to tell you, it at times was pretty haphazard how we did it. We had, and a lot of times it came down to our donations or our support, whoever hit us first, whatever team or whichever activity hit us first. And this was a very nice way to streamline our support and to give the decision making as to where the money went back to the people who knew it better than we did. And that's back to the school system and back to the athletic directors, and let them direct it.
Because kids put a lot of time and energy into these programs. Our parents fundraise, they come out and support the team. We'd like to give them a quality experience and at the same time create opportunities to raise revenue for the district. So it really has been a win-win. And when you go to our football games, our soccer matches, it's just a cool deal. And the kids will remember that.
For me, it's even better because as a parent of a middle schooler, as a junior high student now, we were feeling the pain of athletic cuts, and now we get to see those kids get to have those sports back in those schools, which helps athletics across the board.
I think the number one thing is that you get parents that get to be parents, and they get to come and enjoy watching their kids play, and instead of having to go out in the community and try to raise funds.
It's the atmosphere that's been created, in our high schools now. It feels big time. It feels like you're going to a college atmosphere in these games. You walk in and the video boards are the first thing you see. And to piggyback off what Adam said, it's allowed us to do more of the coaching side of things and really handle our program, because we know that the big things, the funds are going to be put back into our accounts.
We do still have some fundraising going on in the district, and it allows parents to be a little bit more strategic on how they do spend their time and their volunteer hours.
But at the same time, we still strongly encourage what I call social fundraising. Things that aren't selling and raffling, but are hog roast and things like that bring community together to support the kids and support the program. Those things are very valuable. Leave the rest to us. And I tell you what, I've heard from so many business owners that simply say, thank you. I was being overrun with people just asking.
the volleyball program is going to be working at the food bank and going to be doing some river cleanup and things like that that we couldn't do before because the girls were selling candy bars and pizzas and all those other things. So I think the community will see other things give back over time.
Having this extra income from this advertising has really helped fill in some gaps and some holes that we've needed for our junior highs.
And in essence, it saved programs.
Yes, it has saved the programs. You know, we want to focus and have those kids excel in the classroom, and it's, you know, the facts are that if they participate in extracurricular activities, that they're going to do well in school. They'll stay in school. They're tied to school, and so having that extra money for emergencies and so forth at the junior high level has really helped.
Okay, what's getting cut? What are we going to do? And finally, this kind of came along and saved some of that and saved some headache for you, didn't it?
Absolutely. We knew that the absence of middle school, junior high sports is negative. You want to build those programs up and you want to give kids experiences developmentally. And we also know, as was mentioned, their connection with extracurricular programs keep them in the school, keep them better behaved in the classroom, keep them more focused on possibilities. It's part of what makes our schools well managed. This allows us to do it. To think that in the last 2.5 to 3 years, we've put about $600,000 into these programs that doesn't come out of local operating dollars, so that we have higher quality programs, more kids aspire to it, and as we open Battle High School, we will increase our participation in extracurricular programs by over 30% because we're spreading it out and making it more available to kids. That's what we're supposed to be doing as educators, is to make experiences for kids. And by having this equitably across the board, I think you're going to see significant increases in the spirit and culture that you'll find in our public schools.
One of the things that I thought about was that it can be expanded to additional programs beyond the athletics. It's designed, it will involve theater and music and all the other competitive and extracurricular activities that are going on in the public schools. So there's so much room to grow and so much room to continuously improve this program and find new opportunities for our community and for our students.
I think initially, and I think we really had to work on having those conversations with businesses that, yes, while there is a financial commitment involved that will go toward the athletic or extracurricular activities, there's also an academic connection that can be made through support through the classroom.
I feel like our booster club and our PTA, that one kind of supports the academics and one kind of supports the athletics. Sometimes they compete against each other for resources. And I think that KSP has helped us work together as a school district so that we're not all competing against each other for the same finite amount of money that is out there in our community, and the people that are willing to support us in making our programs outstanding for our kids.
And from a business perspective, I hate to tell you, they've always had professional fundraisers and coming after you, and the public schools sometimes were last on the list because you got hit by professional development people from the colleges around. We want to be a part of all of those things. So I think putting it on a business standpoint helps me as a business person, and putting it to where it's got a framework, it's got advertising involved, it's got a plan so that it's going to the right people.
Every time I would address this sports marketing thing, because people drove by and they saw those big scoreboards and they said, well, you complain you need more money, but you found money for the scoreboard. And I said, well, let me tell you about that. And by the time I was finished, they said, well, that sounds like a business model. I said, it absolutely is a business model, and not a dime of your taxpayer dollars went into that in the end. We're using the community to take care of those things. It became a real positive in that, a lot of times schools get categorized as tax and spend type mentality, that we don't think outside the box. I think that comforted people that we were doing those kind of things so that we could put more money, and here's the real catcher, so we could put more money into the classroom, but still provide the quality of program that is expected of the community for your athletics. Those two things don't often mesh very well sometimes, and we've made it work.